Hello, ladies and gentlemen, sunshines and sweaty pies. I'd like to welcome you back to the 7th, the lucky number slamming episode of the Chuffing Big House Show. Stick around here for the Chuffing Street. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different. Because you know me, anybody who's watched this show, the kind of 4 or 5 people that watch this show on a regular basis, you know what I mean? You know I do Chuffing whiskey reviews. But if I'm doing like 1 or 2 whiskey reviews a week, sometimes 2 whiskey reviews a week, like I say, I'm a small concern. No bugger watches me, so nobody sponsors me. So I'm having to buy these whiskies myself, which I don't mind doing. But the big bottles, 20, 30, 40 quid a chuck, I'm not bloody Rockefeller, I can't afford it. So, what I've decided to do, but before I go into that, I like to do it. Firstly, I like to do it because I like to drink Truffle whiskey. So it's a personal thing for that. I drink it anyway, whether we're filming it or not. Secondly, I like to see the differences between the various regions, the various whiskies, the blenders, the malts, the this, the that, the honey infused and so on and so forth. And thirdly, I like to do it for you guys. I like to do it for the 2 or 3 people that do watch this bloody channel. You might enjoy it. You know what I mean? It might make you go out and buy a chuffing bottle of whiskey, or you might have a bit of a chuckle. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep up with the whiskey reviews, but obviously I can't afford to keep buying the big bottle, so we're going to do Chuffing exclusive, first time ever in world. The Chuffing Big Al miniature series. So every time I do one of these, I'm going to bring out a miniature, sometimes blended, sometimes chuffing malt. We're going to chuffing pour it in the old glass, left nostril, right nostril, down chuffing lug, and I'll tell you what I think. But before you start to maybe potentially think about it in a negative way, or put a negative slant on it and think, oh, you know, his show's going down chuffing tubes. What do they say about a chuffing bloke with a big car? Yeah. Now, what did they say about a bloke with a chuffing small whiskey bottle? You better believe it, sunshine. So stick it out here in for the chuffing treat. Now, what I would like to do is start it off where it all began. Because the first whiskey I ever saw, I went round a mate of mine, a guy called Stanley. He ended up in Navy and all sorts, but Stanley lived quite close to me and I went round to his chuffing house. And this particular night was the first night ever I watched Chuffing Rambo Part 1, Chuffing First Blood. And I enjoyed it. It was a good film. I was sliced along, kicking chuffing ass left, right and centre. Grenades blowing up and all sorts. My kind of chuffing movie. Intellectual, you know what I mean? But he had a small hip flask for chuffing bells. And he didn't really want a chuffing supper. He'd had a few of them. He weren't that fussed. And I says, I'll buy it off you. He didn't really have much experience with whiskey. And he sold me this hip flask for 5 quid. And I took it home, I sucked it, I enjoyed it. And I don't want to slag Bell's off because it's got a long heritage. It's a famous whiskey. And both my granddads, my mum's dad and my dad's dad, both my granddads swore by it. They liked it. If they wanted to treat themselves, they'd move up to a Glenfiddich, or Glenfiddich, whatever you want to call it. But they liked the Bells. They liked a little bit of Teachers as well, but Bells was the one for these guys. And they drunk it for years, never did them any bloody harm. I've seen them chugging pissed on it, but it's tons of times. So, we're going to start off with the old Chuffing Bells. Look at that. The Big Al miniature series. Contender number 1, ding ding, Bells, in the Chuffing red corner. And now, he comes in, he's obviously blended whiskey, 40%, so a very standardised kind of percentage. And Bells is owned by the Diageo company. Now, Diageo, he's taken over Chuffing world, that guy. He owns so many different whiskies, it's unbelievable. I think I've heard on grapevine he's getting into biscuits and bloody pork scratches next, so watch out. Walkers, bloody Diageo's coming. Diageo, bloody cheese and chive, bloody smoky bacon flavour. They're going to kick you off a Chuffing market. That man's a Chuffing megalomaniac. He owns some good whiskies, check him out, he's a good lad. Right, so the Bells, blended whiskey. All the blends come from lots of different distilleries all over Scotland. Like I say, it's about 40 of them. So we're going to crack it open. And I'm going to treat it with a bit of respect. Because, you know, what people say about this, they'd say, chuffing, throw it in an egg cup or a teacup and just sling it down your bloody guzzler as a chest warmer. We're going to treat it with some respect, like I say. Big heritage, famous blended whiskey. One of the biggest, one of the big ones, the old boys. So get him in a nice glass like he bloody deserves. Now, I'm assuming, I can't say 100%, but I'm assuming or presuming or whatever that it could be coloured. And when you've got to think also as well, when you're dealing with a blend that's got approximately 40 different whiskies in it. From batch to batch, particular whiskies out of that range could be a bit different. So he's going to change and alter, and one batch is going to be slightly different to another. But I think they work hard to try and maintain the basic kind of fundamental character. So let's get a chuffing sniff. Left nostril, right nostril, chin, left nipple, right nipple, belly button. Yeah, yeah, go. We're ready for business now. You can tell straight away, there is a marked difference between the smell of your average malt whiskey and your blended whiskies. The blended whiskies always seem to be a little bit more, I don't mean this in a bad way, more paint strippery. Not all of them, but this one, it has an harsher characteristic. There's seems to be a lot of alcohol or something quite harsh trying to escape off the whiskey up my chuffing beak, you know what I mean? But there is, from what I smoked there is some good smells in there. It's sweet. It's a little bit, when your nostrils acclimatise to that little bit of harshness, you start to smell a few other bits and bobs. Maybe some like orchard apples or something like that, you know. It's not like kind of a red, real, full, plummy kind of wine type thing. But yeah, apples, grapes, and that kind of thing. A bit winey, a bit cidery. But not a chuffing bad smell. Right, we'll give it a go on the old chuffing, get it around the old bloody clacker, the old bloody, get mandibles around it, the old chuffing tonsils, and we'll see what we get out of it. It's better than I remember. This one is better than I remember it. I remember the last one being very harsh. Now, it's quite thin. I'm going to have to give it another sup before I tell you what I think a bit more. It's quite thin. The viscosity is not really there. It's quite watery. But it's not unpleasant. It's quite sweet. And there's some good spices in background. I'm not saying that there's tons of like cask character or anything like this. But there's some decent spices. And it's a good chest warmer. But it's not too harsh. Have another sip. That's probably the most I've enjoyed it out of the last 10 years. Because out of the last 10 years, I've probably tried that 5 or 6 times and not been massively overwhelmingly impressed. Because I seem to remember, and you think, you know, your taste buds, your experience, it acclimatises, and your palate gets a bit more sophisticated. You get used to the real high-end stuff or the decent stuff. And this kind of falls by the wayside and you start thinking it's not very good. But I seem to recall it being a pleasant drink, is what I'm saying. And then I've had a few which weren't so good. I didn't like them. But that's pleasant. The only thing I would say with this is, when I drink the malt whiskies, like a decent, like, you know, your Tannervullens and your Lagavulins and your Balvenis and your Taliskers and this kind of stuff. You drink it, but you don't feel almost like instantaneously like you're going to get an headache. The only one negative thing, I don't know if it's because I've woke up and I've got a bit of a bug or something. The only negative thing I can say about this is I had 2 or 3 sips and it feels already like someone's tying a chuffing metal band right on top of my head. Squeeze, it just feel a little bit, but I could be dehydrated. So, yeah, I would say here it is. The Old Bells. Pleasantly surprised. That is a better experience than I thought I was going to have. So I hope you've enjoyed the first of the miniature series. Like I say, we're going to be doing some more blenders. We're mainly going to be doing malts. I think I've got 2 more blenders to do and about 6 malts to do. So good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this programme. I like to say, see you later, sunshine, sweetie pies. was the chuffing rest of it. But it just stopped. Abruptly, unprofessional. And we're just getting into that nice little bit of chuffing music. That bloody jazzy, bluesy kind of Salisbury type of bloody stuff. Little bits of Clapton, bits of Green in it. I was enjoying it. It just abruptly stopped. Very professional. I was enjoying that. I wanted to see the chuffing end. Where was that anyway, Mr. Maddison? Was it Glastonbury? Or was it bloody Nebworth? Where were it? Somewhere in Donny? Chuffing, I tell you what. Hey, that guy's heading to chuffing the upper echelons of the chuffing stratosphere with his career. He's got it chuffing cooked. The guy's a bloody genius. Right, before I kind of sign off on this particular episode, I want to tell you something now. Something a little bit. See, it's been a bit of a problematic, a bit of a turbulent chuffing week. Now that we've done his bells review and all that kind of stuff, I've got to get serious. Basically, I've had worms. The entire family has had chuffing worms. I don't know where they've come from. Here, there, it doesn't matter where. Could have been in a chuffing bacon sandwich. I don't know. But we've had chuffing organisms. Small, little, wriggling organisms in our chuffing bodies. Now, the rest of my missus and my kid and everything, they were chuffing freaking out. They weren't there chuffing happy. But to me, to be honest, sometimes, the way the sleeping arrangements are, sometimes I end up in a bed on my own. Not because we're falling out. It's a family situation. Sometimes I end up in a bed on my own. And I have found great comfort and great solace in them chuffing worms. Because sometimes if you're on your own and you're laid in that bed, it's middle of chuffing night, it's pitch black outside, you can barely see chuffing, moon's hidden behind a chuffing cloud, it's black. And you feel like you're the only person in the known chuffing universe. Now, I got into that mindset and I'm thinking I'm all on my own. And at that moment, I didn't reach for a chuffing cuddly teddy. I didn't go running back into the other room where the other people's at. I thought about my chuffing worms. All those little wriggling chuffing craniums, the worms, little chuffing heads, craniums, little chuffing mandibles, laid on my chuffing lower intestine, on my chuffing colon. The heads laid on my colon, keeping me company. My intestinal tract was keeping them secure. It was keeping them safe. It was keeping them warm. They had all the love, all the comfort, all the warmth they needed. But I've took the medicine now, I've killed them. So I feel, to be honest, for the rest of the week, if I seem to have like a look on my face, like I'm a bit depressed, I'm chuffing mourning my worms. Because I was starting to get to a place where I thought I knew them. And I was enjoying having them around. So I just thought I'd leave you with that little bit of message. So in future, if you get worms, before you chuffing eradicate them and exterminate them and all that kind of Nazi stuff, maybe let them be. Let them live. Just for a little bit. And you're giving them shelter. You're giving them a house to enjoy for a temporary period of time. Food for thought. See you later, sweethearts and sweaty pies.